card? Meat of force.
It's just a bunch of dildos like just sitting there. I pack up all my decks and I plan to get a little risky. I make a lot of noise when my opponents play so shitty. Both of our wives say, save a horse, ride a CommanderSmith. Everybody says, save a horse, ride a CommanderSmith. Yup.
All right, so that's ride a horse, or no. Save a horse, ride a cowboy.
Ride a horse, save
ride a horse, save my pelvic bone. And then it's like Big Rich or something.
Hey, Big and Rich.
Big and Rich.
Yeah, okay. Nice. That was good. I'm impressed.
It's the only country song I've like had to listen to.
The funny thing about that is like I was singing it to Cindy, and I was like, I got the save a horse, ride a CommanderSmith. And she's like, what? What is that? And so then I added the part, and our wives say, save a horse, ride a CommanderSmith.
Yeah, you have to say that.
Exactly.
Get us in trouble.
Yeah. So, welcome to CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I am Adam Smith.
And I am Lowery Smith. Don't worry, we're cousins.
Don't worry, we are cousins. I was like blanking for a second. I'm like, what do we say next? What is this? What is the saying?
It could be like we're on to episode 42 at this point. We are killing it, as far as I know. We have increased every month for our listeners.
Yes, we have. We beat our last month by 3 downloads.
Killing it.
Yeah. We've had 1 month where it was like a 12 or 15 increase, but other than that, it's been like hundreds. It changes each month, and then this last one was like just 3 more.
It's probably because of the sad trombone that you tossed in last week.
Well, what kind of happens though is you get a lot. Like we're getting listeners, but not a lot of people going back and listening to old stuff. So I think that's kind of a big part
All I'm saying is I appreciate every single person listening out there.
So yeah, like Larry said, episode 42?
Episode 42. I just checked.
We're getting a lot of followers. That actually is what's happening is Twitter. I think we gained like 4 between Twitter, YouTube, and Podbean. We've gotten a lot of followers throughout the week. Yeah. We gain a couple. You have this shit grin on your face. I see. We get the notifications like, oh, yay, another person. But yeah, so you can follow us on Twitter like a normal at CommanderSmiths, and then
you can email us at Gmail, CommanderSmiths@gmail.com.
We do need people. We haven't gotten anybody saying some things. Otherwise, we're just gonna make up our own thing.
I had
punishments.
My friend Matt text me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
He was the one, yeah. I don't.
So we have some punishments that we are going to do with our video.
I had already forgot about this too, so don't worry about it.
But if you want to shoot us an email, Twitter, or even a comment on this podcast video, wherever you're watching and listening to it, we're going to be doing that before the next podcast.
You're fine. Don't worry about it.
Are you nervous?
No, it's like Wheel of Lowery punishment at this point. I need to at least win one box opening, and I have not. So,
but yeah, so we're going to be doing that before our next podcast even comes out. So actually, the videos will probably be up before a podcast comes up, or they'll be very
sounds like work.
Similar.
More promises.
Yeah, well, we're going to have quite a few videos, and we'll talk more about that. I think next week when we actually are done doing them. But it's big with Ultimate Masters. You already know that we're doing one box against each other, but there's another.
How many more will we do?
Exactly. How many more do we have to open? So if you aren't following us or subscribing on YouTube, you might want to do that because there are going to be at least, I think, 2 to 3 videos that pop up with that. So, but yeah, what are we doing this week?
So what we decided to do was,
we
built decks off of what we're kind of liking and playing in Arena,
yeah.
Commander decks. And so I went green-blue Merfolk. And I made a Kumena deck.
And I went with Niv-Mizzet. I killed Lowery's Niv-Mizzet.
Yeah.
I was like, that fucker's dead. I'm taking Niv-Mizzet. Because I've been loving the Niv-Mizzet. It's a different way. Well, Lowery built his deck.
I actually really like your deck a lot more than what I built. So I think yours worked a lot better.
But so I went a different aspect because, I'm not going to do, my pet peeve with counter spells and not just doing a whole crap ton of counter spells and all that. I went a different route with it, and we're going to kind of go through that when we get to that. But we're both doing, it's a double Commander Spotlight.
Yeah, so
off of Arena Edition.
And then we kind of went one-on-one, tested them out a little bit, so we can talk about the gameplay and what happened within these.
We also tested out our camera stuff.
Yeah, so we're kind of moving forward and trying to figure out how we can record games and then get them on YouTube.
Yeah, so we got a jib so we can actually record over
getting jibby with it. No,
it was so stupid. Why did I laugh? I gave you the pity laugh.
It wasn't pity. You're legit laughing.
Stupid.
Legit. It's because I stared you in the eye and said it.
I don't even know where to go after that. That's ridiculous. But anyway, so we were working that out. We played our Commander decks and tested out the recording of that and whatever. So we're going to probably be getting some Commander stuff games going in
hopefully soon,
the near future. Yeah. So, and then what do we finish off with? We finish with our
Smith Specs of the week.
So,
thanks, guys.
Yeah, we need a new one because I hate that I have to keep going to that one. I'm like, we need the one where you're like
Mickey Mouse Specs of the week. No. If we can get Disney to give us a cease and desist order, that I think that'd
be amazing.
Yeah, they sit down and stop taking the likeness of Mickey, and I'll be like, you've held on to your trade for way too long. Give them up. The copyright laws and all that stuff.
So why don't should we jump right into it then with our Spotlight stuff? And Larry just jumped. It was amazing.
It was more like a hop. Hop.
Do you want to start with yours or mine? Well, we'll talk about gameplay. Oh, I guess that's the other thing.
Let's go yours.
We're going to do Commander Spotlight, then we'll do gameplay of how our games went. Just one-on-one. So it's a little different. 4 players can be very different.
I think we'll have to hypothesize how they would go in a 4-person game as well.
And then we'll finish with the Smith spec. Yeah. So, like I said, I guess I'm starting with mine.
A Spotlight deck.
You have Niv-Mizzet as your main guy.
Parun.
But you also, I guess we explain what he does.
Yeah, you can read it.
Okay, so the difficult thing with him is that it's the 3 red, 3 blue to come out. So it's very color specific, unlike the other Niv-Mizzets where it's 2 red, 2 blue, and 2 colorless. That's a little bit easier. So you got to make sure that you have your color, your land, and that was the point of our. Larry's opening a beer. Are you already bored with me that we're going to open a beer and drink it right now? You weren't even listening to me. Lowry, my eyes are up here. Nice.
That might be really loud. It's like...
So
you were like
it spiked on the meter.
You're like an adult in Charlie Brown world. So this one is from Fulton. It is All City Cosmic Stallion. It's a citrus wheat ale.
Oh, this is local.
Yeah.
Nice.
They're out of St. Paul, Minneapolis, something like that.
It says Minneapolis, buddy. Get it straight. Don't fuck those.
You know
two
why you
up.
get a whole can this time? Because I don't like it that much.
Oh, really? Nice. Cheers. Not too bad.
Nah, it kind of tastes like dish soap to me.
Well, I don't taste the dish soap.
Yeah, you need a more refined palate.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad. It's not too good.
It's not.
So
I'll drink my
right now?
Nordies.
What did you choose?
Niv-Mizzet.
Right.
So if you don't know what he does, he's the 3 red, 3 blue to come out. 5/5. The nice thing is can't be countered, fuckers. Oh, fucking counter spells. He's a flying 5/5. Whenever you draw a card, Niv-Mizzet deals 1 damage to any target. And then also, whenever any player casts an instant or sorcery spell, you also get to draw a card.
That's huge.
So I've done some kind of tweaking with that. It's more of the whole deck idea is casting a lot of stuff and being able to either wipe out people's shit or wipe players out entirely. So I'll get to that in a little bit. There's a couple combos that go in, not infinite combos because there's an end to it. Like if you have 4 players, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But
sure. And then you also have Niv-Mizzet the Fire Mine, probably for a little bit of redundancy with your commander.
Right. So if my commander gets killed a whole bunch of times and I come across this guy, he does the exact same thing in a way.
When it comes to whenever he deals damage, you get to draw a card. Or whenever you draw a card, he does the damage.
So I have 2 of them in there just because I'm guessing Niv-Mizzet is going to get killed.
I agree.
3 notes to this. 2 notes? Well, 3. So in our core cards for Commander, what blue card do we normally have in every blue deck?
Cyclonic Rift.
That is one. What is the second one that we would have? Protection.
Spellskite.
Yeah, those two are not in the deck.
But you feel good about that?
What I did do, even though I hate counter spells, I'm going to start it off with those two. I did play. I have counter spells in the deck, and the only reason is I'm making it fit the flavor of the deck because it's casting spells.
I'm like breathing in deeply. That's what that noise is.
It sounds really bad.
I know.
So, but all my counter spells, they
All
actually
are doing other
multiple things. So it's not just, the typical tap 2 counter target spell. Every single one has a second ability to it. So
you have Izzet Charm,
which has 3 things that you could do. You either do,
but you're only going to counterspell things. You got to pay 2 for instant or sorcery.
Right. I almost did it for drawing the other time when we were playing in our game, but it has the draw cards. It also has doing
and that's
2
perfect
damage
in there as well. Yeah.
So you have 3 things you can choose from there.
You have Commit to Memory, which is a split card from Amonkhet.
So it counters, but it goes second on the top for their library, or you can bounce a permanent to the second to top. But the second part of that card, well, I guess I'll talk about that.
Shuffles their hands and libraries and graveyards, and then you're drawing 7
new cards. So that'll come in a little bit. I'll talk more about that when we get to the.
And that there is easy to. When you have Niv-Mizzet in play, you are drawing 8 cards automatically with that. And that's not a bad thing.
Yep. And then the last 2...
Mystic Confluence and Cryptic Command.
So those all 3 have 3 different things to choose from. Well, Cryptic Command is 2.
You
but
get to choose 2 of the 3, and then Mystic Confluence is 3 of the 3.
And so
that's counter target spell unless you pay 3 for the Confluence or return a creature to its owner's hand or draw a card.
So it has multiple things where if somebody's going crazy and I'm not looking for countering, it's more of I'm going to bounce their stuff to get, so that we're not all getting overrun. So they have multiple abilities. So that's my kind of thing when I counterspell. I don't like to
mostly just counterspell.
Here, fucker. No, not a single one is a counterspell where it's just a counterspell. So,
most of them.
So this is weird.
All of them with Niv-Mizzet in play would be counter target spell, draw a card.
Right.
So it's extra.
Well, that's my protection because I don't have Spellskite, and I am not playing a Cyclonic Rift. You played a Cyclonic Rift. Yeah.
It felt good.
So this is my first deck that does not have Cyclonic Rift in it. That's blue. And then I would say since I've got Spellskite, this is the first deck I've built that's blue that doesn't have Spellskite in it. So it's kind of weird. All right.
I mean, I can totally see why you would have it in there, but also you need a density of spells in there too. So you got to cut stuff.
So the most important card in Lowery's opinion when you're playing
would be Locust God.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do have Locust God because this deck is more running on spells that draw you cards. So Locust God is going to work well with it because...
So if they're targeting Niv-Mizzet, you can still play Locust God as like a backup commander almost. So,
and I guess that's the secondary part to this deck is I have a bunch of things that when I cast... Well, I guess we can talk about that too.
I think this is an interesting one, and I do actually like it in this deck quite a bit. So Arjun, the Shifting Flame, which is a 5/5 flyer, and whenever you cast a spell, put the cards in your hand on the bottom of your library in any order, and then draw that many cards. Now, the part that I don't like about this in most decks is when you cast a spell, you're slowly just running out of cards basically. But with Niv-Mizzet, you're always drawing that card,
extra one,
or not always, but most of the time you're going to draw another card and then bin them and then draw that many cards again.
Yeah,
and so you're not
losing the card.
Yeah, it always feels like I'm losing cards, losing like a game plan and tempo with Arjun.
Plus, you're drawing that many cards and you're doing that much damage with Niv-Mizzet.
Yeah, and I think that's really well done, put together in that.
Yeah, so I had him a bunch in our games, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. He was in my hand. I never got to cast him. I think in a 4-person game, I would have been able to cast him. With one-on-one, it's so different because Lowery was his stuff comes out, it's very cheap, and they were just doing damage, and so I had to kind of try to control Lowery's tempo, and so I didn't have time to cast him. But in a 4-person game, he definitely would have come out, and I think it would have had enough to make him go crazy. It's more of the setup and everything. So, but
thank you. But we're talking about your deck, though.
What I was kind of saying right before that with Locust God is the other sub part of this deck is making creatures when you cast spells. Locust God is more of when you draw, but a lot of my stuff is drawing. But the other things that I have in there, you can just run through the names quick.
So Metallurgic Summonings was from Kaladesh block. Murmuring Mystic, which creates 1/1 flying birds. Young Pyromancer, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you get a 1/1 elemental. And then Docent of Perfection will give you 1/1 blue human wizards.
But then the interesting thing with that one is when you cast an instant
of Perfection,
and him by himself is a 5/4 flying, but then when you cast any instants or sorceries, you put a 1/1 wizard into play. And when then it checks to see if you have 3 wizards. If you do, he flips, and then all your wizards get 2+1 and flying.
Yeah.
And then it still has the ability.
And Niv-Mizzet is a wizard.
Right. So there's kind of a little sub-tribe in this where there's quite a few, but sure. I mean, it's a sub-tribe.
It makes sense that wizards is a deal there.
Yeah. So, but all what Larry read off, all those other ones are whenever you cast an instant or a sorcery, you're putting in a creature. So I kind of have... That's more of with the 4-person game. It's probably something I would play earlier in the game, start casting spells, don't put Niv-Mizzet out. And actually, that's probably what I would do is build up a meat force of creatures. Meat force.
He has never used that term. I've never heard that.
A meat force. I just meant like in bodies in front.
No, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. That's why it's funny. Like it works.
I'm gonna drink my beer really quick.
I wish that was a card. Meat of force.
It's just a bunch of dildos like just sitting there.
Discard 1 blue card, pay 1 life, put a force of meat into play.
Oh, okay. So in the big long oh man, in the longer games,
it's not that funny anymore.
No, just thinking long and skinny, and we're talking about meat, and I didn't mean to go there.
I got the giggles.
It's like when you're in school and you're trying not to laugh, and then that makes you laugh harder. Okay, so
no, it doesn't go away like that.
In the long scheme of things, with bigger games, these guys come out and they don't look as threatening. And you're casting your instants, your sorceries, your drawing. You're building a little force up that eventually can run through, or at least. I didn't even say meat force.
Sorry.
So now when we say like force of will, you're just gonna laugh. Yeah. We're gonna move on from that. Oh, this is the most giggles I've ever seen you. You're crying. Okay, so with that kind of in the same line, let's move away from the. I'm not even gonna say the word. I should have said it while you were drinking a beer.
No, you shouldn't have. That would have been bad.
So I have quite a few creatures that when they're in play, they do something when you cast an instant or sorcery. I've just kind of gave you 2 examples there, but we also have...
so you have Electrostatic Field and Galectrode.
And then what's the goblin? The
Gutter Snipe,
that one,
which is kind of big right now. And I don't know if it's big in Standard, but on Arena...
Kind of what I based this deck, or my Arena deck, is based off of that one, mainly. But I like the... Electrostatic Field and Gutter Snipe, where it's just a triggered ability that happens when you cast it. You don't have to tap anything. The nice thing about the Galectrode? Galectrode. The nice thing is that you can target certain things, but it won't happen your first turn it comes into play because it'll have summoning sickness, all that. But you can tap it to target a bunch of stuff, which is always nice. Yeah. So I have those in there. I think I have 5 or 6 different creatures that when I cast something, it hits the whole board, or I can target things and pick them off. Yeah, especially those little cards that people are building up their meat force. you couldn't even get it out. We're not even going to be able to do this podcast. You're just going to laugh the whole time. You know what's going to happen? I'm going to just start yelling it when you're doing yours. I'm just going to go meat force.
Oh, I gotta find a card now.
You know that this episode's just gonna be titled Meat Force.
I gotta add in the card that allows me to have a meat force.
All right, so I'm gonna keep moving on while Lowery giggles. Then my next line of there's like 5 or 6 cards of these. It's cards that have. Do you want to read them, or are you looking for a card? They're cards that have basically they get a bonus. Their power and toughness. What bonus?
Adele.
Oh, yeah, the Cinderwind. Now the cool thing is what we had talked about before is her bonus comes from it gives it to all wizards. So again, you're giving a bonus,
pumping up.
Yeah. So when it has whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, wizards you control get 1+1 until end of turn.
And then you have Spellheart Chimera here, which gets as many instants and sorceries in your graveyard. That is its power, and it's 3 toughness, flying and trample for 3. That's a good deal in a spell slinging deck.
And you have the other drakes that are in there as well. They have
Enigma
the same
Drake
thing.
And
Crackling Drake.
Yeah.
So we have those. So I have about 5. I think 5 or 6 of those. So each one of those sets. So either making the meat force or
I kept it together there. I kept it together.
The meat force, the surround damage, and the creatures that get bonuses, like they're stronger because of it.
Man, I was crying.
I have about 5 to 6 of each of those. So kind of like a nice little split among those. But then you have your not game winners, but your shuffle effects. Or your draw effects.
The wheel effects. You have Wheel of Fortune here and Windfall, which are both crazy. The only thing, the crappy thing about what both of these are, like, you draw a card off the spell and you're automatically discarding them. And then you're drawing. Right. Well, but that could also help you. Like, if you're the guy with the most in Windfall, everybody gets to draw 1 more land. You're drawing an extra card.
Yeah.
So
then a couple of the 1-drop spells, you gotta have those in there. So
basics, and they're good glue. Brainstorm and Preordain.
Yeah, I think I have about 7. Well, what did you counted 6?
You had 8
8 total that were under 2.
Under 2, yeah. He had Isokron Scepter in there. I
took that out. Yeah, so we took that out. And then the other main thing that I have in here is flashback and things that recursion from your graveyard spells.
What? You're playing recursion in your graveyard?
It's so weird. Counter spells and recursion.
So you have a retrace card, which is you get to discard a land, and then you get to cast the spell. So Ona's Grace draws you a card.
Which is really sweet. I like that the most because you can just keep doing it. You discard a land and, keep casting. Or these other ones, once you cast them again, they're exiled. But why don't you just do one of each of the kinds that we have? So you have
Deep Analysis, which is flashback.
Yeah, so that you can cast from your graveyard, but then it gets exiled, and then
you're drawing 2 cards off of
it.
I do really like Deep Analysis as a card.
Yep.
Cackling Counterpart, Chemist's Insight as a jumpstart card that'll draw you 2 cards.
Right. Oh, and the other one is Quasiduplicate, which I didn't put in that package, but Quasiduplicate.
I'm surprised you're not talking about that one.
Well, yeah, that's why I just remembered I didn't get through it. But Quasiduplicate makes a token copy of yours. Kind of the same thing as the Cackling Counterpart. I think it's better than Cackling Counterpart because Cackling Counterpart costs so much for their flashback. All right, so then the last little bit of this is I have 2 Planeswalkers, and I'll just say these. I have the new Rel, is it Viceroy? And then you have Jace the Mind Sculptor. Both of them benefit off of drawing cards, casting spells, so those 2 are in there. Did not get to cast either of them in our games.
No, you didn't.
And then the game winners. This is your meat and potatoes of the game. That's why we have 3 of them in here to win the game. And then,
so the first one, probably put that at the end.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. So this is kind of like a little bit of a combo part, but Curiosity, which is an aura that draws you a card whenever that creature deals damage. Fidian Eye, which is basically
same thing, but it has flash, so you can put it on
at instant speed. And then Tandem Lookout, which has the same ability, but it's a soul bond thing with another creature.
So the point of that is you get that on Niv-Mizzet, and you cast or draw 1 card, cast 1 spell, or draw 1 card, or somebody else casts an instant, or I should say, you cast an instant or a sorcery, or an opponent casts an instant or the sorcery. It starts, and you can start drawing as many cards as you can.
Yeah, so how it works is you're dealing a damage with Niv-Mizzet, and with Ophidian Eye in play, you get to draw a card because you dealt the damage with them. And when you draw a card, you're dealing a damage, so it's going back and forth.
Right, and it works with both Niv-Mizzets, so that's kind of the point
why
of why
the
I have both.
redundancy is there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you have 3 cards that do that, and in a 4-person game, and Larry kind of brought this up when I was like discussing, I'm going to do this. We kind of talk back and forth of deck stuff, like what we're building and what the idea is. He's like, well, you can kill one person. I was like, why not? I can go through my whole deck. He's like, well, 40 life, depending, what everybody's life is at that time. But most likely, you're dealing 33, 6, 9. Well, you're how far into the game?
Yeah,
you don't have that many
you've
cards.
already drawn cards and stuff like that.
So what the idea is, I threw in Laboratory Maniac, which I've never played with the card, and this kind of works out perfect. If you have enough land to do it, like if you have 4 sitting there, you draw out your deck, play him, and then just cast 1 spell that costs 1, which you will have because you've drawn your whole deck. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of the combo piece to this. I never got to do that with Lowery because it's 1-on-1.
You're gonna kill me easy.
That one game.
You turn 6 killed me,
and so I could just draw 40 cards and Lowery was dead. So, but with multiple players, I would have had to go with Laboratory Maniac. So that's your alt win, and that's actually kind of the win you go for in the game, is to try to, in a way, combo to get Laboratory Maniac. So that's why this deck is actually going to be called Niv-Mizzet Maniac. So it's a pretty sweet name, right?
Crazy.
Or, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it's not.
You should scrap the entire name.
No, the name, you're all right. It is, what is it?
Niv-Mizzet Meat Force.
There we go.
Niv-Mizzet Meat Force.
Actually, yeah. I'm going to cut out that whole part.
The meat force of Niv-Mizzet. He has a big meat force.
Well, he is pretty. It's a dragon. They got some big ones.
I know.
You know.
I know he's a dragon. I don't know about that big meat force, but
all right. So that's the deck in a nutshell. So it's basically draw cards, cast spells, and do damage to the face and make lots of meat forces. So, what do we got for you, Lowery?
A spotlight deck.
I've definitely calmed down. It's still funny.
The giggles aren't there.
Yeah, no, I have very good control. Bodily control. Okay, so Kumena
Bullshit.
is green-blue legend from Rival or Ixalan block. It's a 2/4. You can tap another untapped Merfolk you control, and Kumena, Tyrant of Orazca, can't be blocked this turn. Or you can tap 3 untapped Merfolk you control to draw a card, or you can tap 5 untapped Merfolk you control to put 1/1 counter on each Merfolk you control. So this has a lot of tapping ability.
Right.
And kind of when Adam and I came up with this, I was like, you know what? I've really been unhappy with my Estrid deck, and this is right up the alley of like tapping and untapping stuff as well. So I went kind of more, I kind of stole from Estrid enchantments and just built a Merfolk
deck that you
with this.
You were happy with.
Yeah, I'm much more happy with this. Like, it
deck
doesn't
played out
feel
really
super
well.
clunky. It doesn't feel like I'm drawing half my deck that doesn't work with the other half, and so this just feels a lot better.
The abilities and I love playing her in Arena. Just, it's freaking ridiculous, like you can make. There's 3 different abilities by making them unblockable, by drawing cards, and by pumping your stuff.
And you can go a lot of different ways with this deck as well. Like, you could build up and just Voltron Kumena and make her as big as possible, because you can make it so that she can't be blocked. It's a Merfolk.
And the thing is what in our games, I mean, she was doing damage. We got me 11 commander damage with her with like 3 swings.
It was casual.
Yeah.
Casually killing you.
Right.
So, it just it feels pretty powerful. Like, it can come out of the gate really quick. And some of the games that it did, you had trouble dealing with it. Like, you were just like, oh man, I gotta end
Oh yeah,
the
game that we'll get to that.
Yeah.
That one game was really sweet.
And so just, I have 38 land, but this is probably the most unique, important one.
Nice. That's gives you 1 colorless, but you can tap 1, it becomes a 2/2 creature with all creature types until end of turn. It's still
a changeling. And so that's a really cheap Merfolk.
Yeah.
And
gives you mana in the same point.
Yeah, it can give you mana, and it's the best manland you can have in this deck because it can be a Merfolk for you. I'm gonna have kind of Adam run through some of the important Merfolk. There's probably the biggest theme is something like Master of the Pearl Trident, which gives all other Merfolk
you control 1/1 and have Island Walk, which worked well against me because I had islands.
Yeah, and so Merfolk have a ton of lords like that, and so I kind of went with that route. I just went with a lot of lords.
Did you do Lord of Atlantis?
Yes,
nice.
It is in my deck. Yeah,
sweet. So you did do all the. So then you have, gosh, it's funny because we're both talking about spec cards that I have.
Yeah.
But Tatyova, what is it? Benthic Druid? Benthic Druid. This is freaking sweet. I love this card.
It's whenever you play a land,
you draw a card and gain a life.
It's great card draw in a commander deck.
And your Chameleon Colossus, that bad boy came out and did some damage.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I just wanted, because so what that is, it's a 4/4 changeling, which makes it a Merfolk, but you can pay 2 green, 2 colorless to double its power and toughness. And with all the lords, it can become a 15/15, or probably not because math, but it can easily be an 8/8, and then you double it up to 16/16 for 4.
Yeah, you were swinging in hard with that, and then the protection from black helps out a lot. This one you did the very first game.
Thought Adele. That's a 2/2 Island Walk, and then you can steal artifacts out of your opponent's library. That can help you a ton.
True Name Nemesis, finally a nice little spot for True Name. That's
is
the
a
first time we
Merfolk.
had that's what I thought was interesting. I was like, why does he have that? Oh, it has Merfolk.
So it's a Merfolk. Yeah. It's basically unblockable to one person.
Protection from everything from that person. Then you got Wanderwine Prophets, which if it deals damage, you may sacrifice a Merfolk. If you do, take an extra turn after this one.
Yeah, so that's like if you're able to continue on, you might be able to just get a ton in there with the Island Walk abilities in there.
And then Surge Spanner, which is a nice bounce spell. So if it becomes tapped, you may tap 2. If you do, return target permanent to its owner's hand. So that's really nice because then you can use it with your commander because you're tapping to draw cards or tapping to put counters on it.
Exactly. You can consistently be able to tap
bounce
Surge
something,
Spanner,
so you don't have to worry about
tap
it
a permanent.
attacking.
And also it's a permanent.
Right. So you're targeting anything on there. So that's nice.
You're able to deal with anything.
And then Empress, was it Galina?
Oh, Empress Galina?
Yep. I said Empress.
It is impressive.
I'm impressed.
This card might get you hated out in a deck or in a game because
the gain control of target legend or legendary permanent. Tap 2 and tap it to do that.
Yeah, that's a Merfolk, and you can steal other people's legends, and they won't be happy with you.
Pissed.
Yeah. So that is a deal right there. But yeah, those are kind of like the non-lord-ish Merfolk. The thing is, like,
this one's kind of the lord, though.
Yeah. Well, I was just representing it there.
Yeah, gotcha.
So you have, I think I have somewhere in between 25 and 30 Merfolk. I feel like it's not enough.
Really? You think you need more?
Yeah, well, like, in some of the games we ran into, I just didn't have Merfolk. And so, like, I feel like I maybe I need to mess with the draw a little bit more, like draw spells, but...
You also got to remember it was 1-on-1, and you're going against pretty much a direct damage deck, so I was able to wipe things. But you still, like, even the... like I said, we'll talk about that in a bit. Even the game you had trouble, like, getting your stuff out. Once you started drawing, you were able to drop down. I was impressed that you got back in that game. Because, I mean... He used a Cyclonic Rift so freaking early in the game because he just needed me to slow down.
Yeah, you had a lot of ramp going on, and you were going to play Niv-Mizzet the next turn. I was like,
Then it saved it 2 more turns.
Yeah, 2 more turns.
So, but what's our next package?
Next package is going to be the Untappers. I have about 6 total in here, but these are more like unique ones.
So Marrow Commerce, which is at the end of your turn, untap all Merfolk, which is a must-have. The nice thing is it is also a Merfolk spell. because it is an enchantment, but it's a tribal enchantment, so they haven't done that since then.
And they won't. They said it was a mistake.
Yeah. And then you have Quest for Renewal, which is whenever a creature controlled becomes tapped, you may put a quest counter on it. As long as there are 4 or more counters on it, untap all creatures you control during each other player's untap phase. And then you have Intruder Alarm, which creatures don't untap. But when a creature comes into play, untap all creatures.
Yeah, and so the thing that I kind of talked about...
to do a douchey move here.
No. So with Intruder Alarm, I know I talked about this with Estrad before I took it out of that deck, but this, I think it works a lot better in this deck. If somebody has a spell that comes into like multiple creatures at a time, that triggers multiple times. And so if you have enough to like draw a card with Kumena, you could do it 3-4 times and still have your creatures untapped. And you should be able to play enough creatures that allow you to tap and untap Kumena a couple times, even on your own turn.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool. I think it allows people to be a bit more aggressive as well, because they're like, well, I can attack, and if you play a creature, I get everything back.
Right.
Or if you attack, you can play a creature afterward and untap everything. I think there's a lot of different ways to play with Intruder Alarm, and I really like it. So, and untapping, again, there's 2 cards here that
Savor the Moment, which is 1 and 2 blue. It's a sorcery. Take an extra turn after this one. Skip your untap step of that turn.
It's a really cheap extra turn spell.
And then that with one of the most old school douchey cards, Stasis. 1 colorless, 1 blue. It's an enchantment. Each player skips their untap step. And during your upkeep, you may pay 1 or bury it. Guess who played this when we played? Fucker.
Well, no, I did, because it's in my deck.
Yeah.
But
was it the same game, Cyclonic Rifting into that? No, it wasn't. I think it was. Cyclonic Rift, you backed me up, and then I was trying to get my stuff out, and then you played that, and it just...
I think it was the other way around. No. I don't think it was a Cyclonic Rift.
It was 2 different games.
So, but with this, if you have Seedborn Muse in play, like this just locks everybody else out.
And
you're able to play, they just quit and they hate you. Deal with it.
Larry loves being hated.
But love
hate.
We'll talk about how I used it in the game, and that I think it was a fairly fair way of playing it as well.
I was worried that something was about to happen where it wasn't going to be, but then I kept drawing land, so it actually was working out. And then you're like, "All right, I'll let it go."
But these are just random cards.
Yeah, this one.
Like it.
So should we talk about this one?
Yeah.
Like talk about what happened?
No.
Not yet. There's a thing that happened with Dissipation Field when we played our game that we will talk about when we get to that. It was the last game we played. But what this does, it's an enchantment, 2 and 2 blue. Whenever a permanent deals damage to you, return it to owner's hand. So if anybody's hitting you for damage, it's going back to their hand. That permanent
is going back to their hand.
Then, hey, you found a way to use Harvest Season. I like this card. It is a green, 2 colorless. Search your library for X basic lands, where X is the number of tap creatures you control, and then put those into the battlefield tap. So that works perfect.
So the point, if you have your something that's going to untap, or if you're being aggressive with your attackers, just if you attack with even 2 creatures and have those tapped and cast this afterward,
right?
That's a pretty solid.
Really like that card a lot.
Way to go about it. Putting 2 lands into play tapped, but if you have 3, 4, 5, that just gets you going crazy. And
and then you have Herald's Horn, which is you get to choose a creature type. It's an artifact. And it's 3 to come out. Creature spells of that chosen type are 1 less. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, you reveal the top, or you look at the top card. If it is a Merfolk or whatever you call
Merfolk,
you get to put that in, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then you still get the draw. So it's almost
so it's a nice little draw, and it's just one of those tribal cards that you really want to have in your decks.
And then your last one is Sea Hunter, and it's basically a Merfolk tutor creature. So you can. It's 2 and 2 blue. It's a 2/2. Tap 3. Tap it. Search for a Merfolk card and put that card into play. Then shuffle your library. It's better than a tutor because it goes directly into play.
Yeah, and there's a couple of Merfolk that I didn't talk about that go really good with this. There's Ixalan Tishana. When it comes into play, draw cards for the amount of creatures that you control, and its power toughness is equal to the cards that are in your hand, and your hand size is unlimited. So you just cheat a 7-mana Merfolk from your library into play.
Cheater!
It's pretty nice. Or Tishana even is good enough to go and get.
Yeah.
If you don't have enough creatures in play. So That's a pretty cool card. Just 2 tribal draw cards.
So you have Distant Melody, which is 3 and 1 blue sorcery. Choose a creature type. Draw a card for each permanent you control of that type. So Merfolk. And then one from the Commander set 2 years ago, Kindred Discovery. 3 and 2 blue. This is a very good card. Enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that was in the Dragon deck. That should have definitely...
Because it has a Merfolk on.
Yeah. It's like, hey, use this with Merfolk because that'd be great. Right. But we're going to put this in the Dragon deck.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a really good card because it's multiple. So you can cast your creatures and draw for attacking with your creatures, and you're making your dude unblockable. This one is pretty sweet. I like this card too. Deep Root Waters. It's 2 and 1 blue enchantment. Whenever you cast a Merfolk, you get a 1/1 blue Merfolk that has hexproof.
There's not a ton of Merfolk meat forces, so that was.
It's not as funny. It's not as funny right now. We don't have the giggles. We need the giggles back. That's the best part. I got
my meat force in. It's fine.
I might.
That sounded gross.
Nice. I feel like I just got lucky.
And then the protection package.
You played this when we played Steeler Resolve. You get to choose a creature type, and creature of the chosen type can't be targeted if spells or abilities. Bubble Matrix makes it so all damage to creatures is reduced to 0.
Yeah, so that allows you to be able to block with your small Merfolk or just any Merfolk, and they're not going to die. They're not going to kill anything either, but...
yeah,
it's kind of nice if you're ahead on creatures.
And then you have Inspiring Call, which is 2 and a green instant. Draw a card for each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it. Those creatures are indestructible until end of turn. And then your last one is Chroma's Memorial, and that is a legendary artifact. Creatures you control have flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, and protection from black and red.
Yeah.
So you have a ton of creatures out. Like you said, you already have 25
to 30 Merfolk.
So you're creature heavy, and then you just make it so they can't pretty much be blocked in a way.
But you're also having the vigilance is nice because then you're able to tap in the middle of combat or at the end of somebody's turn before yours.
I think it'd be better if it had lifelink in there.
Yeah. You want all of the abilities. I'm pretty sure that's
what it should say. All of the abilities. So rampage, phasing.
Yes.
That's pretty sweet.
Banding. I want banding.
Yep, banding back. So overall, should we talk about how everything went?
It went brutal for me. But
I think it would have been a little different if we were in a 4-person game.
Yeah, so I think in 4-person game, Niv-Mizzet gets stretched a little bit because 1 damage is only so much.
But that's the thing is, I would have played it a lot different if it was 4-person, because what I was having, Lowery came out every single time, came out pretty strong. And so I was having to try to beat back his stuff by killing it, by getting Niv-Mizzet out, having it survive, and then on my turn just going, cast this, kill that, kill.
Yeah, you would have to do a lot of work to get rid of my board, but once my board was gone,
then it was kind of game over at that point. But if it was in a 4-person game, I probably Niv-Mizzet he wouldn't be coming out until I'm able to play him and cast something almost immediately. So it would be later, and I'd try to. So it's a completely different play.
So I might be at a different place, but at the same time, I'll admit, this deck kind of forces you to maybe overcommit if you don't have that draw going. There are certain things that you really need going with Kumena. You need at least something to help protect your Merfolk. And if you don't have that, you're kind of just opening yourself up. You need enough Merfolk to be able to tap. You need at least 3, but it's nice to have 5 to put the 1/1 counters on there. And then having untappers is really important. And so there are definitely pieces that need to be together, and if they're not, you're in a lot of trouble.
But so should we kind of go through the games so we can kind of, because different things happened every time.
Yeah.
So game 1, you got your, what was it, the
Colossus?
Nope, the Island Walk guy out.
Oh, yeah. God dang it.
The one we just talked about. When it deals damage to a player, it has Island Walk. You get to search through their library, your library, and take an artifact from that, and you may cast it that turn, and if you don't, it gets exiled. So that one went quick because by turn 5 I got Niv-Mizzet out, right?
Turn 5.
Yeah, turn 5 got Niv-Mizzet out.
Turn
then it
6.
went around to my turn, and then I killed Lowery.
Yep.
With the combo that we were talking about.
Yeah, it was Tandem Lookout, and then you just
Cast
draw a
one
card,
spell.
deal a damage, then you're able to draw another card, deal another damage, and it just kind of cycled like that. And with me only in play,
I could direct
you
it
just
all at
are
him.
able to kill me.
Yeah.
And so that is a big thing. But if you're in a 4-person, you can't be that aggressive because people go, oh, you could just kill me at any time. I got to stop that.
Right.
And you can't kill everybody unless you're going for the combo. You have enough mana. Like it's kind of a little bit of a perfect storm.
Right.
At that point.
So that game went quick, and then we went into game 2, and then that's when the Colossus, the shapeshifter or changeling, came out.
Yeah, and that card feels really powerful. Like it's the biggest. It's one of the biggest Merfolk that you're gonna have.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what did I do? Turn 3, I played the host, the horn that reduces the cost.
Well, and you had the other guy out that reduced it as well. You had 2 guys that got it. You had your Merfolk that
Stony
Island
Brook
Walk
Banneret, and so I was able to go like turn 4. I went with the Colossus, and then I played. I think it was Thada Adele again.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was. And then,
oh no, you didn't do the Island Walk taking my stuff again. Is that what you were thinking? No, you didn't have. You only did that.
It was
that
a 2
one
blue
game.
and a colorless,
Right.
but I was able to throw
Wasn't
down
it the
a
draw
bunch.
guy?
Oh no, yeah, it was just Kumena.
the-
I think I just played Kumena. But then that gave me turn 4, 3 creatures out, draw, and then I just kind of started rolling because I had that draw engine really quick.
So then his last the 2 turns before the win, he played his creatures with counters on it could not be blocked, and I was down low enough life where I was like, okay, I need to kill you now, and he was at 29. No, 29 life.
It was 29 life. Yeah.
And I got him by playing
got me down
spells
to
3. But then I was dead because then he had the Colossus, and that I was at like 11 or something like that, and just wiped me out with that. But yeah, it was crazy because I was like, I have to kill you now. Spell, trying to figure out how to
impressive.
get it. Got him down to
Quasiduplicate copied the red blue mage,
right?
That 1/3 flyer that has prowess.
Yeah, and so then I was casting spells, trying to draw, doing the damage to the face, and it was just too little.
It's going to be
late.
impressive.
You also had True Name Nemesis that game.
Yeah, that's what it was just hitting me too.
Yeah, you had that at turn 3.
And so you couldn't target that. You didn't have quite enough to be able to like kill off the Colossus.
Mm-hmm.
No,
you had
Shroud.
I was gonna say
Shroud
you
on
had
him.
protection because otherwise that would have been killing them. Yeah, but not True Name. True Name I couldn't target, but you gave them all Shroud. So, so then that was pretty.
That was a solid game. Though.
That was fun.
That was where I got out pretty quick, and you still almost killed me, and so that was scary.
Then we played 3 more.
3-ish more games.
3 or 4 more games actually.
And so it definitely felt like if I got out and I needed to be able to I just Niv-Mizzet coming down and you being able to play a couple spells really like with Merfolk, they're just too small.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of felt like you were able to easily kind of pick on them a little bit.
And there was one game where you were trying to be aggressive to get rid of my Niv-Mizzet, so you didn't play Bubble Matrix, which Bubble Matrix would have prevented all the damage.
Yeah, I did definitely misplay, and that's. And
I wouldn't say it was necessary. You were trying to get it so that you could bounce my Niv-Mizzet out of my.
I cast Surge Spanner without the mana, and then he was able to cast enough
to wipe
spells to basically wipe everything. And I had 5 Merfolk out. They all had the 1/1 counter on it. He was still able to kill everything, but maybe he was able to kill 3 of my creatures.
And then we ran across our last how the games ended.
Yeah.
So we came across Lowery had out. What was it? The one card we went through that we talked about.
Dissipation Field.
Dissipation Field. So anytime that my stuff and I had out the Gutter Snipe. I had Niv-Mizzet. I had everything, and I had the Soulbound locked with Niv-Mizzet so that I could keep hitting Lowery for damage. But what we were trying to figure out is like, when does my Niv-Mizzet bounce? And we actually did an Ask a Judge, and I'll tweet out that photo. I took a screenshot of what we actually concluded. We kind of packed up because it took a little bit to figure it out, and we wanted to get to the podcast. But originally, we were thinking that Niv-Mizzet would keep stacking, and I'd be able to keep drawing, and then Lowery would die. That isn't the case. What would actually happen is once the damage goes through, it also triggers off of the dissipation field, and at that point is when Niv-Mizzet would bounce, unless I cast another instant. That instant
to go on top of
that, and then that would trigger. But then it's only that once the damage goes through, it bounces and then resolves all the other stuff below that. So that's where we were kind of like, how does that work? Because then I could keep stacking and all that. But no, once the first one goes through, then Niv-Mizzet is gone, and unless I can cast an infinite amount of spells.
Which you couldn't.
But so that game would have been a lot longer. I think Lowery might have had the upper hand with that because
I had just cast Cyclonic Rift at that point, and then you had cast
in response to you,
that. And so there was a couple of different triggers where you would have dealt me damage, but we were both in our 20s.
Right.
And so, I didn't have aggressive enough to end the game.
You had 3 creatures out. Your commander, one of the guys, I turned your thing into a 2/2. And something else, another Merfolk. Yeah. So I think it would have gone towards Lowery, but it would have been
you definitely would have been able to come back at that point. So,
but the dissipation field really that was hard.
Down. And we're like, meh, time to go around. Now, dissipation field is a really kind of cool card, and I feel like it's maybe underused a little bit. But I also feel like it could really backfire if you have like
something that does damage when it comes in and you can keep casting it.
They're like, Inferno Titan, deal you damage, bounce it back.
Yeah, but it's still 6 mana to do it again.
But then you replay it and deal 3 more damage. Or if you
I think it's pretty good though. I mean, that's a good deterrent from people to attack you, and they got to kill you in order to not get their shit bounced. Unless it's something like I can see it if it's like, when it comes into play, draw a card. So if they're attacking you, bouncing their
like
thing.
Like Solemn Simulacrum.
Yeah, right.
Like being able to
go search for a land.
Just get that in. And so I think it could backfire, but I think it should scare people enough. Like, they're not going to ping me. Like, Niv-Mizzet isn't
That's what sucked. I had 2 things that I was like, God damn it, I can't even cast a spell because... a sorcerer instant because I'm going to get these fuckers bounced to my hand. And then you're like, I'll just make you do it. Cyclonic Rift. Bastard.
So
the games are good. I want to test it out with 4 people.
Yeah, I think another thing that could be a backfiring on the Merfolk deck is like, if I have a lot of Merfolk, people look at that as like, you have a lot of permanents out. You're scary, and then they just start picking off the Merfolk, and like that could also really backfire. And like I was saying, it kind of overextends because it kind of forces you to have Merfolk out there. Mm-hmm. So you need that protection. That's why Bubble Matrix is important, and Inspiring Call and stuff like that. Being able to protect them is really important.
Yeah. No, I can see that because you like you're saying, you have a board presence by having a ton of meat.
Yeah, and one thing that I noticed with
I forgot what the word
meat force.
Meat force.
Meat force. The thing that I noticed with your deck with Niv-Mizzet, like versus what mine was, like I felt like you were consistently able to get it out like turn 5, 6, or 7, like no real problem there.
And that kind of goes in with what we talked about with our core cards for Commander Land. I mean, if you can stack your stuff right. Not stack it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you have the tools for your land that actually all your lands work together, and you have enough, like, Soul Rings kind of thing. Mono Rocks.
All right.
If you have enough of those in your deck, I think I only have 5 or 6, but I'm drawing so much that I get to them, you know? Mm-hmm. And, it was pretty... Once I had 6, I pretty much had them cast out every single time. There was one land I decided I was going to switch out, that Dragon Spirit, whatever freaking land.
I don't even remember. I don't like that one.
It helped. So. It was like perfect for that situation, but it just, when you have to tap mana to charge counters on things, I guess it's good in Commander long games, but really you don't want to be charged, like, you want to utilize your mana as much as possible, and to be tapping give your battery land, it kind of sucks. So that was one thing I knew I wanted to change out. I think I did 2 change outs. I did not have senseis in there originally, and I did add senseis, and now I'm using mission briefing, so I have a little bit more flashback ability from my graveyard for cards that don't have it.
And I played with Meekstone, and I took it out. Like I just had too many lords that pump stuff, and I was like, I have enough. I have like 6 things that on tap, like Seaborn Muse, Murkfiend Liege, and I was just like, if I don't have it, like it's just bad.
I played Cryptic Command there and did not counter anything. I tapped your shit down. I tapped your shit down because you had Meekstone out, and they would not untap, and then I drew a card. See.
It was solid. Yeah, it was a solid play. It sucked, and so I was just like, that was pretty bad. So and like, so that's one thing we should talk about too. Stasis. I played Stasis in one of the games, and all I did was basically just like I think I had 2 blue mana untapped, and we just kind of just kept on playing lands, and it slowed everything down so that I was just like, this allows me to play lands and have enough before Niv-Mizzet gets into play, and then I'm able to play a bunch of spells before that. And so you can play it as a not necessarily
just
a
stall
lock piece,
until
but a stall until everybody has enough land.
But it has that potential to be really good with your Seaborn Muse. Yep. Yeah.
And even if I don't have Seaborn Muse into play, I still get a couple of turns where like if Merrow Commerce is in play, I'm still able to attack with my creatures because they're being untapped and stuff like that, whereas others might not be. Like, you play it at the opportune time.
What about, like, using... there's a few merfolk that tap for land, and being able to use that with Intruder. That's just too many pieces, but you know what I'm saying? Because then you could keep tapping them. Tap, tap, tap-a-roo to...
I mean... Those ones aren't really like... They're like O1s and O2s or whatever.
That's a little...
So I feel like...
No, I think I like how yours is built.
I have Kira's Follower in there that untaps any permanent, and so I do like that card as a general card that just goes into decks that.
The really cool thing, like thinking back to it, I wish you would have been able to get it out, but Wanderwine is going to be really good because you're making your commander unblockable, and then it's sacrifice any Merfolk, right? It's not that Merfolk that does damage.
Well, but Wanderwine Prophets has to deal the damage.
Oh, it's Wanderwine. Yeah. I was thinking of Merfolk. I was going to say, that'd be sweet.
But you can still, like, you're still able to get a ton of damage in, sacrifice.
Right.
Hopefully have a bunch of Merfolk out there, and then you're able to continue on and probably beat 1 or 2 players out there. So.
Yeah, it will be interesting to test this out. We won't be able to do it for a few weeks, but we got some Ultimate Masters coming. So, should we move into our Smith Specs of the Week, guys? All right.
Yeah, we could totally do that.
All right. Lowery, why don't you start us off? What's your first one?
So one that I think is a little bit underpriced is Angel of the Dire Hour. This is from Commander 2014. It's sitting around $450 right now, but what it does is 5/4 flying flash. When it enters the battlefield and you cast it, all attacking creatures are exiled. And every time I've seen this card played, like, it just ends the game. Somebody just goes, well, I just lost all of my creatures.
And you're kind of going after this because of a certain card that's being used in Standard, right?
I mean, Settle the Wreckage is a really good card.
It's funny
when you get a bunch of land off of it.
When we first saw that card spoiled, we're like, that kind of sucks. You're giving land, but it's like, it's so good.
Yeah.
And I think so even Commander, it's good. I mean, an instant kill spell like that is ridiculous.
And so with this one, I think it gives you a little bit more of power, and you're not giving them the land for them to potentially come back. Depends on where they're at. But this card is a really powerful card. And this is one I think that we missed from core cards from Commander as well. So
it's a good because it's one-sided. It's not going against your shit. It's only going against other people's shit, and you get a 5/4 flyer out of it too. So. All right, my first card, and there's only regulars because it is only from Commander, by the way. My first card, and I kind of talked about it earlier, is Quasiduplicate, and I'm looking at the foils. There's a couple reasons for this. One, The jumpstart mechanic is really freaking good. I like it so much better than Flashback because you dump your land or whatever crappy thing you don't.
Flashback tends to be pretty overcosted. Right. And this is just discarding a land or discarding a card from your hand.
It's pretty ridiculous. So I picked up actually quite a few of these because not only Arena, but also building this deck. I was like, God, this card, it's cheap for what it is. But there's also a secondary reason why you got to look at stuff like this. Watch whenever Saffron Olive is
from MTG Goldfish.
From Goldfish, if he's going off on cards, people tend to gravitate towards those, and he has that power. But he can make a card if he plays with it enough and he likes it enough. He can make another. He's like a secondary market in a way. He can make a card jump if one of his decks does well, or if he plays with it.
He keeps
quite a
on
bit.
wanting, and so this is one of them where he's already made 2 cards with like
2 decks,
2 decks with this, and the question that you see in the hive mind underneath is like, is this his new Panharmonicon?
Yeah, well, he states that deck. He states
he does it too. Yeah,
his Twitter stuff, he'll say that this is his Panharmonicon. Since
he likes it a lot, and I can agree. It's really quite powerful.
Yeah, for 3 to make a copy of a token of a creature or a.
And so in Arena, I've seen it where it's just like. Was it the Chupacabra, where when it comes into play, destroy a creature. So they do Chupacabra. Next turn, Quasiduplicate. Next turn, Jumpstart Quasiduplicate. Yeah. And you're just like, I don't have any more creatures.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how I've been using it was with the Niv-Mizzet deck in Arena with making...
Just the Drakes are big.
No, the Gutter Snipes.
Oh, yeah, so that makes sense too.
You put your Gutter Snipe out, you cast Quasiduplicate, and you make a Gutter Snipe. The first one does the 2 damage. You do it again, and it does 4 damage. Now you have 3 freaking Gutter Snipes out, and any spell you cast is doing 6 damage.
That's huge.
Yeah, so it's a pretty ridiculous card, and it's pretty cheap right now for $2.
At foil. And it's cheaper non-foil.
Right, yeah.
Obviously.
But I would totally go for the foils on these if they keep getting played, and I just think it's a really good card. So, your next one, Lowery?
I'm going to go with Sword Point Diplomacy, foil specifically. This card's sitting around $1, and what this does is reveal the top 3 cards of your library, and an opponent can choose to have you draw the cards, or for each one pay 3 life and have you not, or put it into a graveyard.
So it's for each of the cards. So they actually get then exile. No, it says exile the rest.
Well, and you could potentially deal 9, or right. They lose 9 life with the 3 cards.
I've had it played against me, and I took 6 damage because I was like, nope, you don't get that one, and you don't get that one. You can draw the land.
And I don't think it's bad for Commander either. It's just you're able to do some damage there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cheap to potentially get 3 cards into your hand as well. So either option is not a bad deal.
And it's $1 for foils.
Yeah,
which is
$1 for
cheap.
Foils.
A foil rare.
And this is another card that I've seen Saffron Olive really like in Arena, because this, along with Risk Factor.
Yeah, I was going to say Risk Factor.
Those 2 are very similar, and so it's just like, do you want me to draw 3 cards, or do you want to take 4 life? Do you want me to draw 3 cards, or do you want to take 3, 6, or 9 life? Like
that could get pretty powerful when we get into the next Ravnica set, because then we're going to have black and red together. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
So then you're playing both of those in decks. I mean, black and red.
You'll have the better mana.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The shock lands, you're gonna have black red together. So this could work really well. This might be a really good card to go after for under $1 for foils. They could really go up if people start playing that, and that'll be what is it? January when
beginning of January. Yeah.
So I like that pick. I like it a lot. All right. My next one is a card that Lowery played with, and I kind of talked about it earlier. Tatyova, what is it?
Benthic Druid.
And that I'm talking about the foils of these, because the non-foils you can get for 25 cents, which is pretty cheap, but your foils are pretty ridiculous. They're at $4. But this is such a good card with the drawing when you play a land, and the gaining life is kind of
card.
Secondary, but the drawing card by playing a land is pretty awesome.
And it is a legend. And the thing is that's kind of interesting is there aren't, like, landfall is a really good mechanic, And this is the second landfall commander that you have after Omnath.
Yeah.
The red green one, and so it's kind of like this is probably your second, or, right up there with.
I might go for this one more than Omnath because of the draw aspect. Because I love drawing cards and playing.
Come on, 5/5 that can deal 3 damage.
That is pretty
not
good.
a bad deal.
I know, but
for every land.
How much does he cost to get out? He's
7
so
or 8.
Yeah, he's a little more expensive.
So at 5 mana, you get a lot more consistency out of that. But yeah, her as a legend is going to drive this price quite a bit in my mind.
And that's why it's a little bit higher, because she's a legendary creature. That's the Dominaria uncommon legends, because you look at Slimefoot, all those they're a lot more than what an uncommon foil would normally be. So, but yeah, I definitely love this card. I put it on my list of things that I've been starting to pick up because I think it's just a really good card, and it's going to be used more and more in Commander as time goes on. Yeah. So, all right, Larry, your last one.
Curse of the Swine, which is X and 2 blue sorcery, and then you can exile X target creatures. For each creature exiled this way, you get to they get a 2/2 green boar into play.
I think this was on our core cards, or it was one of the ones we cut.
We might have cut it.
It was on the borderline, but this is such a good removal with the exile effect on that.
You're getting rid of those, just like you're able to get rid of multiple creatures if you're later in the game, but even early game, if you just pay 4, you can get rid of 2 really good cards out there, and they just get 2/2 boars.
Right.
It just the foils I'm highly suggesting at $1.50.
Probably get them cheaper than that.
Yeah, you can probably get them cheaper from that. It's from Theros block. It just does a really good job of controlling the board in a Commander game.
Yeah,
and so I don't see this happening. Like, it's not going to be played in other formats or anything. But if you sit down and you pay, get exile 5, man, you're changing the board state quite a bit.
Well, and this is a different card, but it's a similar idea. Was that was it Hour of Need or whatever that I played, where it has the every time you cast it, and it's like 1 blue, 1 colorless, and you change their creature into you exile a creature in 4/4, and you can do it multiple times. That saved me, even though I'm turning other people's creatures into 4/4s. That kind of saved me that game, because I got rid of the big threats off this. This is even better, because you're
better, cheaper.
Right. I mean, the only thing that one was it was an instant, but this, you're getting 2/2s that are little boar creatures, and you just wipe anything, indestructible, whatever, as long as it doesn't have hexproof.
Niv-Mizzet, or I mean, even turning Gutter Snipe into a 2/2 boar is better than having Gutter Snipe there.
And for $1.50, that's pretty awesome for a foil there. All right, and then the last one is Docent of Perfection, and this is from the Eldritch Moon. This is also part of one of my Niv-Mizzet cards, and that's kind of why I went with it, because a lot of these cards I'm going through, I'm like, this card's really freaking good. Foil, you're looking at $350 right now, but it's a freaking... Oh, that was the other part. I was looking at EDH Rec, and it's over 5,000 decks with it for this card. So you just need to be casting spells or instants and sorceries for really to benefit off this. And even if you don't do a ton of that, it's still 5.
It's a 5/4 flying.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It has
in
evasion.
Itself.
You're able to bash face with it.
But I mean, it's going to go in a spell slinger deck.
Yeah,
but even if you aren't taking benefit of that, it's still a 5/4 flying creature. So.
Yeah, I know. I think this goes in there. You have enough spell slinger commanders out there that this is going to go in a bunch of Mizzix, the red-blue goblin from the commander sets. You have, this will fit into Talrand. This will fit into each Niv-Mizzet deck.
Anytime you're pretty much playing blue.
Yeah, I mean, this...
blue, you pretty much are playing spells.
Or if you're wizards, you're going to do that.
Sorcery.
Yeah, I think it's going to fit into a lot of decks.
Yeah. So but like I said, $350. That's not too bad. I think I picked mine up for $3.
You were able to find it there?
Yeah. So I would definitely look at picking those up. And I think I have it actually in 2 decks. But you're playing blue, you're going to be casting a lot of spells. So
yeah.
All right.
It's a really solid card.
Is that it for today?
And Meat Force.
Now it's not as funny. Now I'm like tired. All that laughing made me tired. I got to take a nap.
Yeah, I got the meat sweats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gross. No.
All right, we're sitting good at time. So yeah, like I said, you guys can follow us on Twitter. We do want to.
You can Gmail us.
Hear your suggestions for bad stuff Lowery can maybe.
I would suggest not telling. Like, any suggestions that you don't give us is great.
And I highly suggest you guys subscribe to us on YouTube, or at least watch the videos here. Like I said, they'll probably be up before the podcast goes up next week. So if you want to get a little jump start
if you've missed us.
If you want to get a jump start.
Was that a pun?
No, it wasn't. But I was going to say, if you want to get a jump start on what happened with us before we even do the podcast, you can check those videos out.
That should be really cool.
And then, like I said, we have a little special surprise. It's going to be a long day on Saturday.
It should be.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
I think that's it for this week, right?
Yeah.
So next week we'll pretty much be talking about Ultimate Masters.
We're just doing Ultimate Masters, and we're not doing that Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, I did see that.
You're not going to convince us to do it, Swope.
Yeah, but Mark loves that Super Smash
Bros. Good for him.
He's ranked.
Yeah.
He's probably really excited about it.
I'm sure. Well,
have you ever played Super Smash Brothers?
I was more of a kart guy. Mario
Kart.
Yeah.
Kart's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
I played Super Smash when it was GameCube was when I played it.
Yeah, my college crew, we were just kart.
Mario Kart and GoldenEye?
No,
you didn't play GoldenEye?
No. I hate first-person shooters.
Yeah.
They probably just super judged me now. That's why I don't play video games anymore.
You just play Magic cards.
I quit Guitar Hero.
Oh, Larry's so good at Guitar Hero.
Batman Arkham Asylum games, and then...
I had to twist your arm to get you to play Arena.
You did.
And you're loving it now.
I'm okay with it. I'm not going to marry it or anything.
All right, well, that should do it for this week. We will see you guys next week.
All right, thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.